Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, whichever time you're watching this in. I know you have heard the sad news that they are banning LiveScope or any active target imaging type live sonar from MLF and bass tournaments. All MLF and all bass tournaments, they are banning live imaging or LiveScope or active target and Mega Live from those major tournaments. I know, it's so sad. What am I kidding? They're not banning it. I know some of y'all were probably happy when you heard that, but they're actually not. This is just a video about LiveScope and a special bait that has been crushing it on the Elite Series, the High Bass Pro Tour Series on the MLF, and the high levels of competition that have been all across the world. They have been crushing it on this lure right here. So we're going to be talking about this lure coinciding with this little machine right here. I guess you can call it a little. Some people have, those 22-inch screens, and then I've got just a little 10-inch screen. But anyways, we're going to hop into it. You're definitely not going to want to miss this because it is a very, very special technique that you're going to want to learn everything about. And maybe I can teach you a little bit about it, and maybe you can leave some comments down below and teach me a little bit about it. But anyways, stick with it, stay tuned, because you are not going to want to miss this. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. As you can see in my intro, they have not banned LiveScope. I promise that was just a joke. I know some of y'all are probably happy. Some of y'all are probably really sad. I know there's tons of people out here who hate it and tons of people who love it. I like it. It doesn't bother me. I think, that the very, very good pros can fish without it. I think they're going to catch fish regardless. But I do think it's a great skill and technique and tool that we use as anglers to help catch more fish, and it has helped me over the last couple of years of me having it. I started off in a tracker with hardly no graph. I think I had a little 5-inch graph that barely would mark a waypoint on a map. But anyways, besides the fact of that, we're going to hop into this. These are the tournaments that have been won on this bait. I'm going to say these tournaments and who has used these, and maybe you guys can figure out, leave a comment in the section, and try to guess what lure I'm talking about, because at the end of the video, towards the end of the video, we're going to reveal this lure of what it has been just crushing every tournament on every series. But anyways, the first one, here's some pictures. They're going to pop up on the screen, so you'll see these baits. Make sure to leave a comment in the section, guess what it is right now. Okay, so this is the bait right here. This is Joey Fishing, and he won the Bassmaster Open on Lake Eufaula in Oklahoma on this bait right here. It'll pop up on the screen probably right here, so you can see that. It's a little bit of a blurry picture, but that right there is a Damiki rig, moping, or tight lining, whatever you want to call it. That's what it is. I call it a Damiki rig. Even if you're casting it vertical, I just call it a Damiki rig because it's simple. It's like a Senko. It's like a stick bait. It's just a Senko. I mean, that's what everybody knows it as. That's what kind of made it, is a Senko. This is a Damiki rig. That's what most people call it around here in Tennessee. But that's the first one right there. He won, he won the Bassmaster Open on that, fishing offshore using the LiveScope. He's an excellent LiveScope user. He used that bait and won the Bassmaster Open on Lake Eufaula. Here's number 2. This is Jay Shakurit. I'm pretty sure he fished. He didn't win, but he was in the top 10. I think this was on, I'm not exactly sure. I think it was Lay Lake or Neely Henry, one of those two lakes there. I forgot which one, the Bassmaster Elite Series. He placed in the top 10 with that bait right there. That is an awesome looking profile. I think that is the Z-Man scented jerk shad or something like that he used. So that was a big player in that. Awesome bait. I've got some of those in there. Excellent. We'll talk about that later. But there's another one. This is Joey Cifuentes. I think he also placed in the top 10 on a Bassmaster Elite Series tournament. I'm not sure what tournament it was, but he used a little bit different type of Damiki rig. I think this was a Berkeley, but he used that one. This is the Japanese guy on Lake Murray on the Bassmaster Elite Series. He used that. His was a lot different because, he's probably using some type of Japanese bait on the back, and he was using that, I call it a deep water technique, but he was using it in, 10, 15 foot of water, I think all the way up into 20 foot of water, but he was actually decreasing because his fish were going shallow. So he was using that. And then here is the main one that we've all seen. This is Jeff Gustafson of the Bassmaster Classic, weighing in 12 fish and still beating everybody. I mean, 12 fish. How do you weigh in 12 fish in the biggest tournament of your life and still win when, you need a limit for 3 days? He didn't even have a limit for 3 days. That just tells you how good this bait is. He is the one who kicked it off this year with that bait right there. It seems like every tournament this year has had a Damiki moping or tight lining type bait in it. It's just unbelievable. And of course, I know everybody's going to say, oh, well, live scope this and live scope that. Let's throw that out the window. And then, just, okay, ready? We're just going to, a little animation of this just blowing up right here. That's going to blow up. Let's get rid of live scope. These guys are still going to catch them because they have 2D sonar. And all these guys who are the best in the world know how to use their electronics. Even if they had a flasher, if they had an old school flasher, they'd be sitting there with the little grandpa pole sitting there and just wearing them out. They're still going to catch them. That's just how good these guys are. But anyways, Jeff Gustafson, he won the Bassmaster Classic this year on the Tennessee River, which actually I am from Tennessee. I fished the Tennessee River a couple of times, but he was fishing offshore for big smallmouth. He's a northern guy. He knows how to do it. He's one of the best at it. But anyways, he got this kicked off. And the last one that I don't have a picture of is Jacob Wheeler. We saw him win at Lake Guntersville, which is only like an hour and a half from me. Lake Guntersville on a Damiki rig. He won it, casting it out there, working his back. A lot of these people are vertical fishing it, and then a lot of people are casting it out there and working it back. So you have a little bit of both. They're still seeing it on their live scope. They're still using their live scope and their electronics to catch these fish and see these fish. They might not be catching them with live scope, but they're at least seeing them and knowing they're around or seeing structure that they're holding on. That's enough of that, going over the ones that win it. I know Jacob Wheeler, he's got a lot of pull, so that bait he was using on Lake Guntersville is actually a prototype. I think it's new, so it'll be coming out probably at ICAST this year. But anyways, this is the main one that I use. If you guys can see that, that is a Zoom Fluke on just a Berkley 1/4 ounce, I think, or 1/8 ounce jig head. And this is on a Duckett Pro Series 7-1. I think, actually, no, this is not a 7-1. Jacob Wheeler was using the 7-1, I think, or a 7-foot. This is the 6-8. So I'm going to show you why I like the little bit shorter rod. 2500 size reel. I think this is a Daiwa Revros, $50, $180 rod. 10-pound braid to an 6-8 or 10-pound fluorocarbon leader. This right here is 8-pound. And then, like I was saying, this is a little 1/8 ounce, 1/4 ounce jig head with a Zoom Fluke on the back. So, anyways, the reason I use a 6-8 is because most of the time I am casting this around bridges. I'm flipping it around things. I'm tight quarters, flipping it on docks, flipping it on bridges. That's how I use this bait. I'm not offshore. I'm not fishing in the middle of the water. Sometimes when I see fish on brush piles and stuff, I will throw this at them, offshore and stuff, but it seems like they like the crankbait and stuff like that, a little bit more aggressive bait. Now later in the summer, I'm going to test this out and it may work excellent, but I started using this last year on bridges and it just absolutely destroyed it. So these are the couple of boxes that I have of jig heads. I know this has a little bit more than jig heads, but I'll show you guys the main ones I use. This right here is one of them. This is a little bit of a bigger one. This is actually a 1/4 ounce. This is a little bit bigger one. I'm not sure what brand it is. Very, very tiny hook. I don't know if you guys can see that right there. Tiny hook, jig head, big old eye to resemble, those threadfin shad and stuff. And then these are the other ones that I use. They are by VMC, and here are they. This is a little tiny one. Right here, this is another one. This is the little 1/4 ounce, 1/8 ounce type jig head. Very, very tiny little things. And you can go all the way up into a big, big size. I know some people like this. This is a 1/2 ounce right here. So some people use a lot heavier one to get it down to the bottom. But most of these are the ones that I use. I really, really like those VMC ones. They just, have the most lifelike. I know Jeff Gustafson and Jay Shakert and stuff in the pictures that I showed you, they use a more realistic style head, which I really like. Just haven't bought any yet. They're awesome. I think they're from Untamed Tackle or something like that. They're just awesome. They look great. They have a great hook in them. But that is my main stuff with this. And of course, we were talking about this. They're not banning it, but this is a big factor in, the Damiki rig or moping style baits. They can see their bait float down in the screen. they can, you know, put it right in front of a fish. It's just like crappie fishing. You know, I know that the old timers, you know, they put their bait in front of a fish and it eats. I've used my live scope for crappie fishing. I see what the fish do. It helps me get mine dialed in. But it, you know, you're just putting your bait in front of a fish. That's exactly what this is. It's just an upsized crappie jig. I know people are like, oh no, it's a live scope bait. It's for this, it's for that. No, it's not. It's just an upsized crappie bait that people use for bass, and it catches the heck out of them. I think the fish haven't seen it much this year, and that's one reason that it's just been crushing it this year. And you know, some of the guys are taking it to the next level, and they're using some different style baits and stuff. And that's what I'm going to show you guys next, is the different style baits that I use. The main ones I use are this right here. It is just a regular $4.99 Zoom the Fluke. It's literally called the Fluke. This is an albino color. This is an excellent one right here, and I use those. I've got them in, you know, all different colors. I've got them in white. I've got them in, you know, a darker. I've got them in all different types of colors. This is another one I really like to use. I'll actually pull one of these out of the pack. This is an excellent bait just because it is so lifelike. I mean, it looks just like the shad and thread thin shad we have on our lake. That right there, if y'all can see that, I know the sun's shining on it, but that right there is an excellent bait. And as you can see, you know, it gets in the sun. Look how bright that bait is. You can see it in the sun. It's just flickering, and when that, it actually has a strobe strip in it, and that's what causes that bait to, you know, shimmer and stuff like that. If you've ever seen shad in the water, when they're in a school like this and those bait are just flickering like that, or they roll over on their side, it's just a flash. It's like somebody clicks a flashlight on and clicks it off really quick. And that's what this resembles. Is just, you know, it's rolling like that, and it's just flashing all the time, and it just drives the fish nuts. They can't resist it. It looks too much like a regular bait fish, and they end up eating it. And then here's some of the ones that I actually used last year. Those are really tiny there, but I used just something like this. It's kind of a, this is by Berkley, and it's just, you know, some baits like this. If you guys can see that, I know the sun, if you guys can see that right there, those are excellent baits right there. They actually come with a 2-pack of hooks and the bait, so those are awesome also. But those are the main ones I use. I've also got, you know, some of the, I'm almost out of these, the scented jerk shad by Z-Man. Those are awesome too. And then like the one I showed earlier, I'll pop it back up on here, but Joey Cifuentes, he was actually using something like this from, you know, Berkley and Power Bait. But anyways, that's the main thing with that. It's an awesome bait. You guys go grab some. Don't cuss the live scope or burn it or shoot it or blow it up on this 4th of July. You know, I know a lot of you would like to just get this and put a, you know, a Roman candle on it and blow it up. But we don't need to do that this 4th of July because the live scope is really awesome. I like it. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button for more. I'm going to try to post 2 or 3 times a week, but it's hard getting out on the water. It's starting to get really hot here in Tennessee. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed. And as always, chase your dreams.